So here we go. This is our foray into breeding snails. So these are Assassin Snails. I love Assassin Snails. I think they're great. I think they're a really useful addition to any aquarium, especially planted. They don't want to eat plants, they want to eat snails that eat plants. So I've got one in my nano tank. It dealt with a pesky snail invasion very efficiently indeed, and he now lives a life of luxury eating bloodworm. So my son wants to have Assassin Snails in his aquarium, which is currently cycling in his room, so it's a few weeks off having anything in yet. But I thought rather than buy a couple of Assassin Snails, let's buy a handful of babies and get them to grow on and see if we can get even more Assassin Snails. So I prepared a snailarium, which is a plastic tub. I've got a little bit of substrate in there because Assassin Snails like to burrow and they do all their reproductive stuff underneath substrate, so that's just some very fine gravel. It's not sand, it's very fine black gravel. And a few weeks ago I put these tubs together with a couple of plants in which were laden with snails, which have eaten most of the plants and detached them from their stalks, and you can see snails all over the sides here, which is great because it's a nice moving in treat for the Assassin Snails. There's also obviously the aforementioned plants, which I have red light on, which is red's great for photosynthesis. So I'm hoping that I might be able to rescue some of those plants, bunch them together and actually get them to grow on a little bit more. But I've also been feeding the bladder snails that have arrived on the plants as well, with just a bit of leftover salad, which they've been munching away at very happily indeed. In fact, they've really grown and started to multiply even more. These tubs have been cycling now and growing up a lovely layer of biofilm in them. I've got 2 on the go, I'll come to that one in a minute, for about 4 weeks now. And I seeded each one with a catappa leaf, a potted plant or 2, and a handful of spider soil, just to give a little bit of organic in there. We keep spiders, so we've got a tarantula, or 2 tarantulas here, and spider soils, it's quite fibrous. It's not particularly sort of organic-y. It's good just for a bit of surface area and to help get a bit of mulm going. So yesterday washed the grit and put that in, so about maybe 1.5 centimetre, 2 centimetre layer of grit in the bottom there. And today the snails have arrived. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop these into some water to, well, float the pot and start drip acclimating them. Snails are super sensitive. They really do like to be very gently broken into their new environment. So I'm going to be dripping into this pot water from the tub for a few hours, probably, to be perfectly honest, with a pipette, just until they are at the point where they're kind of happy, warmed up. They might not move around. Snails quite often will sulk for a day or 2 before they do anything, so I'm fully expecting them just to drop onto the substrate at the bottom. With a bit of luck, they'll burrow and start mooching around, maybe even start hunting for some bladder snails. And really, I want to just lob these guys in here and kind of forget about them, really. And then in a couple of months' time, maybe, we'll have a look, see if they've grown any, see if we've got any babies knocking around. The second tub has been treated exactly the same. It has loads of bladder snails knocking around in it. You can see the catappa leaf there on the floor, and all the mulm, which is the sort of broken down spider soil. It kind of goes to nothing, to be perfectly honest. Now, both of these tanks, I did a pretty much a 90% water change on yesterday with just dechlorinated tap water, which is the same as I use on my little shrimp tank downstairs. And this tank, you probably can't see them, but they are in there. This tank is now home to a colony of red cherry shrimps. So I've Found a local breeder online. Turns out he lives a mile away from me. Yeah, you can't actually see them, but they are in there. There are 10 red cherries in there. Oh, there's one. You can just about... I'll try and zoom in on him. There he is. Oh, it's a she, actually. There she is. Sorry, love. And again, it's a tub. It's got a catappa leaf in, some plants, a shed load of snails. And it's just a happy environment, no predators. And hopefully these snails are going to get on with it, eat well. They're already eating well. You know, there's 10 of them in there. I counted them this morning. I counted them last night and this morning. And hopefully we might have some baby snails. There's 2 females actually that already look quite big. So I'm hoping that we might see some eggies fairly soon. So without further ado, let's open the snail tub, and I'm just going to pop that on the surface just to actually get them warmed up first a little bit, and then we'll start dripping some water in. So we'll see them later.